Hi, I'm Debora Coty, author of more than 40 inspirational books, several of them for children, for middle grade and above. And so I know many of our tween friends are home with their moms and dads during our COVID-19 crisis. And so I thought it might be a good idea if I could share with you a story, a very amazing story. This is from my book. It's based on the true story of a young girl's amazing journey of faith back in old Florida. That was before it was peopled, and back when it had all kinds of wild animals roaming. There weren't even many bridges connecting the islands. And this story is true. It takes place on Merritt Island in 1904, back before the bridges were built. So you couldn't even reach the island except by boat. This was based on the diary or the memoir of a real person that lived. I received her diary from her grandson. She had already passed away by the time I got her story. She had written it at age 85. It was only 10 sheets of notebook paper with old lady handwriting scrawled in there. And it was an amazing story of God's miracles and her adventures back in the day a long time ago when painters, they call them panthers, were everywhere throughout the state of Florida. And there were all kinds of craziness going on as far as the wildlife goes. So I wanted to share this story with you. It's awesome. I love this story. The real lady's name was Catherine Harrison, who it's about, but in the book I name her Emily Palmer. So I'm going to just share with you today an excerpt from chapter 1, and if you like it, moms or kids, please contact me and let me know that you'd like to hear more, and I will be more than happy to read more excerpts from this book, perhaps even the whole book. All right, so this one is chapter 1, The Distant Shore. Emily Palmer managed to keep a brave face, showing Papa only a few sniffles before she boarded the train with the help of the white-haired conductor. When she settled on the scratchy burgundy seat with Sarah's hand-me-down trunk under her feet, she stretched her trembling body as tall as she could to see out the half-opened window tinged with coal dust. There stood Papa on the platform, his broad shoulders drooping, and a strange, sad look on his face as he stared at the snorting, hulking iron beast that was taking his daughter away. He looked like a crumpled photograph of the strong, ramrod, straight Papa, whose hardened expression always hinted at barely concealed anger. Emily couldn't hold back any longer. Deep sobs racked her body as she reached for the man who represented her entire life, everything she had ever known and loved. "It's all a terrible mistake," she thought. "He'll come back for me any minute. He'll take me home to Mama, my sisters and brothers, and the nightmare will be over." A shrill whistle blew, and Emily's hands flew to her ears to mute the horrible sound. The smokestack of the enormous black engine began billowing out thick smoke that stung her eyes and made the inside of her nose burn. When the coach lurched forward, chugging and jerking with loud, clanging noises, Emily knew it was too late. Papa wouldn't be coming after all. The scream of an infant behind her on the train seemed to come straight from Emily's own heart. She couldn't stop crying, even when the conductor came for the ticket Mama had pinned to her dress collar. The old man waited patiently while her trembling fingers fumbled with the pin. He continued sneaking glances from beneath his black hat bill while he punched the ticket and handed it back. "So, miss, are you from Miami?" he asked, the ends of his fuzzy white mustache tilting up in a smile. Emily nodded. "And would this be your first train ride?" Yes, sir," she managed to say over the enormous lump in her throat. "How old are you, might I be so bold to ask?" 9 and a half. She always added the half, but at this moment, somehow it didn't seem so important. "Well, you're a mighty lucky young lady, if I may say so. Not too many gals of your stature have the good fortune to be a passenger on the most advanced locomotive in the 1904 Florida Seaboard Coastline Railway. And you're headed off to an adventure, I'll wager. What's your name?" Emily reached into her travel satchel and took out a delicate white handkerchief embroidered with pink curly letters, E.L.P., Mama's initials. She wiped her eyes and thought of Mama quietly tucking the folded cloth into her bag after a tearful goodbye in the kitchen of the Victorian farmhouse on Flagler Street. "Emily Palmer," she told the conductor as loudly as she could, although her voice was hardly above a whisper. "I see you're going to Eau Gallie, Emily Palmer," the conductor said, studying her ticket, his deep voice smooth as warm molasses. "Are you visiting relatives there?" Emily dabbed at her nose before speaking. "Yes, sir. I'm going to stay with Aunt Augusta on Merritt Island." Her voice quivered and rose crazily in pitch as she gave a brief explanation, but the gentleman kindly overlooked it. "Ah, what a paradise, that island. You're not going to believe your eyes. Beauty not seen anywhere else on earth." His eyebrows arched like tiny rainbows as he gently patted her shoulder. A very lucky young lady, indeed." He turned and moved down the aisle, his body swaying left and right as the train's rhythmic clackety-clack, clackety-clack settled into a regular pattern. Emily's eyelids grew heavy as her aching heart with the motion of the coach rocking back and forth. She closed her eyes and pretended it was the wind blowing her cradle in the treetops, like the song Mama sang when she was little and curled up in her lap in the big rocking chair on the front porch. Mama used to smile and sing so pretty back then. The next thing she knew, the conductor was tapping her arm. "We're here, little lady. The train is pulling into the Eau Gallie station." I would love to continue telling you more about Emily's adventures, but I need to hear from you. So if you could please contact me via Facebook or my website, DebораCoty.com, and tell me if you enjoyed this little excerpt and if you would like to hear more. Thank you so much for joining me.